Hi, welcome to Spanish Exponential. Bienvenidos a Spanish Exponential. So, I welcome you to this program because this program will definitely help you to learn Spanish as quickly as possible. And it's based on my experience of learning Spanish as third language from learning from struggles learning English as a second language back then. It took me like 20 years or so to get where I am. Now I speak English. I'm glad I did, but it took so long. And when I decided to learn Spanish, I just couldn't stand to to take another 20 years to learn another language. So basically what I did was took all the knowledge of things that you need to learn any language quickly from learning English experience and put them into one thing, and I just did it, and I learned Spanish language very quickly. Of course, I'm not native language, as I need to note that to you guys, I'm just a guide to how to tackle on Spanish language as a second language speaker, right? Because a lot of people think and say that it's the best to have a native speaker as your teacher to teach a Spanish language, but the truth is the native speaker have no idea how to learn Spanish as a second language because they learned Spanish language as their primary language in their childhood. I'm sorry, my English is a little bit weird, but it is actually it is actually very important to have your native Spanish speaking friends or mentors who you can check on your progress, and then you can practice conversation with, so that they can correct when you did something wrong. And I am not native speaker, so I never say that I am the best to teach as a whole, but I believe that I'm the best guide for you guys to learn Spanish because I went through exact same experience as you guys are trying to move through, and I have a both experience of struggles for 20 years. I'd say 20 years because I started learning English was my 7th grade. As a Japanese, we are obligated to take a class in English language class, and that's when I started. And then I had 60 years of classes before I went into college, right? But I had to take English classes in college as well. And when I finally decided to come to United States to study something in the higher level, I still struggled. I went to Omaha, Nebraska, and then I studied English as a second language and be prepared for college entry, and I finally got into master's degrees. But even through master's degree, I struggled. I really struggled in English, and then you might be able to imagine, but I had to study the master's degree. It was a landscape architecture, and I need to do research, I need to do homework, I need to do the studio work, and I need to go through the exam, and not just the subject, the landscape architecture, but I also had to really consume my energy to really understand what I was being taught in English. So, and even after I moved to Florida and I got the job as a professional landscape architect, I still had struggle with the communication in English with my teammates, my boss, and then with the clients. But eventually I got very comfortable speaking in English, And another thing I need to mention you is that I'm not the best speaker. I really stutter, right? And I oftentimes say and I try not to do that because I don't think it's good to do that as a speaker to convey something important to you guys. So I do my best, and I admit I'm not the best speaker, but I am committed to do this, even though I'm not the best, and I'm probably embarrassed a little bit, but I will do. I'm committed to get this my value that I think I have a value proposition to you guys on you know, like just tell everything that I knew that with those I could learn Spanish very effectively, and I did. So where was I? So basically I struggled throughout my life for English, and I came to the realization, you know, maybe I wish I did that before. Then maybe I had learned English very more, you know, fluently, faster, and I could have enjoyed the life I had in the United States better. Maybe I had a better communication with my friends, or maybe I had a better communication with the professors and my coworkers, and you know, this isn't out of subject, but I had struggle with my friendship and you know a lot of a relationship because I wasn't good enough for communication. There was always misunderstanding, and you know I lost my friends in that way. And when I decided to learn Spanish when I was, I think, 37 years old, if I remember correctly, maybe 36, but definitely late 30s. And I never thought before to take on third language because I've struggled on second language English for such a long time. So I had never thought to do any other language. But then I decided when I was 37 years old to tackle on Spanish language because I had a reason. And at the same time, I thought about it. Okay, I'm going to tackle on the Spanish language. Voy a aprender español, right? Pero, no quiero tomar mucho tiempo. You know, like before. Like, I didn't want to take any longer or any close to what I had to do in English, which was 20 years. No, I don't want to really wait, you know, take 20 years to get this language Spanish because I had the reason, like I said, and I need to do I had to do quicker. So, but the good news was, I think subconsciously in the back of my head, you know what? I've done this before in English. I know I could do it, but I didn't want to take the same amount of time. But you know what? There were so many things I wish I could have done it before when I was learning English. And if I did all of these things, maybe I could speed up my speed of learning Spanish. And maybe I could do it in 2 years, 3 years, maybe 1 year. And so I decided and I jumped on it. First, I clearly remember I was at the airport, Narita Airport. I went back to Japan to see my family, and I was going back to Florida. I still live in Florida, and I made the concrete decision while I was staying in Japan. And I decided to learn Spanish, and I went to the bookstore at the airport, and I saw the book about Spanish language, and it was written in Japanese. But that's the beginning. And not only I picked up the book right away, at that moment when I find it, I did everything I knew I had to do. Every single thing from the beginning, because there is a myth, another myth I think about, one of the myths about learning a new language is, like I said, to have a native speaker. yes, native speaker is very important to have as your team or mentor or friends that you need to practice, but they have no idea about what you would encounter as you're learning Spanish as a second language, right? Because they actually already speak Spanish and they didn't even study logically, but they just did because they learned when they were children. And there is a thing about we need to learn from how they learn new language. The children be open-minded like children do, right? And that's one of the super important thing. But still, we have adult brain. It's actually a more matured and more sophisticated brain has to learn the language in different way. Of course, we have to be as open-minded as possible so we can take in everything, with accepting, and then there's no concrete way that need to follow. So we have to be open to anything in order to learn language quickly. But another myth is, I forgot where I was going. What was I talking about? Let me see. I forgot. So I was saying that we learn languages. I did language. Okay, so I picked up a book and then I did every aspect of what I knew that it was important to learn new language. And then another myth I think about learning a new language is actually, a lot of institutes and language teachers try to kind of systematize how to learn. So they present us information a little by little, step by steps, and basically they create an order to take information in and then move to next steps, next intermediate steps, and next advanced steps. But I believe actually our brain has more power. They underestimate what we can do as an adult. So actually I find, and this is what I did, I actually gathered all the information all together, and then I tackle everything at the same time, because I believe my brain is going to process whatever I take in my back office of my brain. So even though I get frustrated, I don't understand anything that I'm reading or what I'm taking or what I'm listening, I still keep doing it whenever I find time, because that way I made the start, I pushed the start button. So my brain start processing all those information, and over time it start understanding because the processor was processing, right? But if you just are given a little by little, sentence by sentence, then it's like pushing, what do you call, procrastinating the starting button for each one, right? Each steps. So you have to turn on all the starting button right now. So that's what I did. And then so one of the myths is that you have to be kind of, go step by step. But actually that is the recipe of learning new language slowly, that you don't want to do. So I think we should be presented all the information from a beginner's learning information to intermediate and even advanced information. We need to take it in our brain to process them. So, the trust our power, because we are human being. We are creature of communicating creature. We are a creature of communication. And like myself, some people are not as good as communicating with others. Maybe some are better. But we are a creature of language. We all speak some kind of language. We have ability, and it doesn't make sense if somebody says as an adult we cannot learn new language. That is so wrong. So that's my whole basis idea to create this Spanish exponential to teach you how to tackle on Spanish language. Again, I'm not saying I'm the pro or I'm the perfect Spanish language speaker. I'm not native, and probably I will never gonna be a native to Spanish language because I am native to Japanese language. But you know what? I'm not confident to say I'm a good Japanese speaker because I have been in the States for 20 years. I don't have many Japanese friends. South Florida has so few Japanese population. Whether fortunate or unfortunate, if you want to learn English language, it is fortunate. But if you want to have a friend, Japanese friend, it's unfortunate. But I don't care. I love Florida. So that's kind of things that I wanted to say. And yeah, let's start it. Let's do it. So another thing I want to present today or tell you today is that it had just started, and I have all the thing in my mind how to make this complete course, what material I needed to present, and I've been working on and along the way. But I would love to have you guys as a founding member who actually can take my courses as I build it and give me a feedback, honest feedback, whether it's good or bad, so I can improve it, because I want to create the best available Spanish learning language program. But without your input, I think recently I had the opportunity to listen a lecture by Brandon Steiner, and he said the first idea is never best idea. So basically, the great idea I have in my mind is not yet the best. So I need your input, feedback. So that's why I am calling founding members for this program, because I promise that you will learn Spanish in its best way, and you're gonna get this program forever as I build. And even it completed, I'm going to have a Facebook group or some kind of platform where a group of people, like-minded people, can share an idea and help each other and connect each other. And also I want to have, and I'm going to have series of webinars. I haven't decided the frequency, but where we can have a Q&A session, or simply a group discussion. We can talk about Spanish or the culture or whatever. And also I want to invite guests once in a while, native speakers who you can actually ask them questions and interact in a real situation, and then they can actually tell you about their culture, their countries, their language, their dialect, their regional specific funny things and stuff like that. So, and the language is absolutely lifetime a learning experience. You can never be perfect until when? You never know. You are always growing, improving your language skill, right? And you wanna diversify the variety of language. I'm not just talking about language, but there are language in each profession, basically language is simply the way to communicate. I love photography, and I consider as one of my language to communicate with people, because I believed for a long time that I wasn't good at Japanese, nor English, something like that. But then I learned Spanish, and then at some point I realized, wait a minute, of course, I'm not perfect, but now I have 3 languages. I can speak 3 languages. I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going, but for example, photography, and of course, I was registered landscape architect for a long time, and there is what it's called design language, and you know to convey your idea in the form of design. So anyways, communication is most important thing, one of the most important thing in life, and I'm excited to initiate this Spanish exponential program, and I would love to have you guys join me, and we're gonna create this exciting, amazing, like-minded people's community together. So that is it for today, and sí, vamos a empezar a aprender español